That sound? It's a 20mm Gatling cannon firing at up to 4,500 rounds per minute. The system is called the Phalanx CIWS, Close-In Weapon System. Sailors don't call it CIWS, they call it Sea-Whiz. Some even call it R2-D2. Same shape, very different job. For more than 40 years, Phalanx has been the last line of defense against the nightmare it was built for, supersonic anti-ship missiles. But in 2025, the threat is changing. Picture a night watch at sea. The radar lights up, not with one fast missile track, but with dozens of small returns, low over the waves, lost in clutter. A swarm, 30, 40, maybe 50 cheap drones coming in from multiple directions. Phalanx will do what it does best: lock, fire, reset, repeat. And this is where the math turns brutal. At 4,500 rounds per minute, a 1,550 round magazine can be burned through in under 20 seconds of sustained fire. So here's the real question. What happens when the gun goes quiet and there are still targets inbound? Welcome back to navydoc. Today, we're not just admiring firepower. We're asking whether a defense system built for missiles can survive the economics of drone swarms. And if it can't, what does the Navy put on deck next? This is the Phalanx CIWS, Close-In Weapon System. And if you don't want to sound like a textbook, don't say CIWS. Sailors call it Sea-Whiz. Some call it R2-D2. Same silhouette on the deck, different attitude. At the center is a 20mm M61A1 Vulcan, a 6-barrel Gatling cannon. Phalanx isn't just a gun, it's a complete automated fire control loop. Inside that white radome are search and track radars that detect, classify, and keep a target under lock with minimal human input. Once it decides a contact is inbound and hostile, the system shifts from tracking to engagement. At maximum rate, it can fire up to 4,500 rounds per minute, about 75 rounds a second. And in naval service, those rounds are typically armor-piercing tungsten penetrators. Tungsten is dense. That density matters. When you launch a hard penetrator fast enough, you don't need explosives to break a missile structure. You rely on kinetic energy. But that performance comes with two limits: cost and magazine depth. A few seconds of firing can burn through a lot of specialized ammunition. Against a multi-million-dollar missile aimed at a billion-dollar ship, that trade makes sense. Against cheap drones, the economics flip, and it flips fast. Because Phalanx doesn't carry infinite ammo, the drum magazine holds about 1,550 rounds. At 4,500 rounds per minute, sustained fire can empty that magazine in under 20 seconds. That number, under 20 seconds, is what commanders worry about. Not because the gun can't hit, because a swarm doesn't give you one target. It gives you 30, 40, sometimes 50 small drones at once. Low, fast, and spread out. They come from multiple directions, skimming the waves, hiding in radar clutter. Phalanx will do what it was designed to do: lock, fire, shift, lock, fire. In a swarm, it may drop the first few targets, 5, 10, sometimes more, and then you hear it. Click. No tracers, no roar, just a mechanism cycling with nothing left to feed it. Because the limit isn't accuracy, it's magazine depth. A 1,550 round drum sounds generous until you remember the firing rate. Sustained fire can empty that drum in under 20 seconds, and a swarm doesn't arrive in a neat line. It keeps coming. Now here's the part most people miss. You don't reload this like a video game. Reloading Phalanx is a manual evolution. It's work. And in combat, it's risk.
Sailors have to go topside, handle heavy ammo belts, and feed them into a loading system, often while the ship is still at threat. Even with a trained team and good conditions, crews describe reloads taking minutes. In rough seas, bad weather, or with mechanical hiccups, it can take longer. That gap, those minutes, is the vulnerability window, and it creates what crews and analysts describe as the swarm gap. The attacker doesn't need a better drone, they just need more cheap drones than you have ready rounds. Recognizing that limit, America's allies aren't standing still. They're pursuing different approaches to solve the same problem. How do you stop cheap drones without burning through expensive rounds? Look at Germany. Rheinmetall's Skyshield concept and the mobile Skynex platform take a different approach. Instead of relying on a perfect direct hit against a small, fast target, they lean on programmable airburst ammunition. A 35mm revolver cannon fires ahead rounds that are programmed as they leave the barrel. The round doesn't need to hit the drone, it needs to arrive at the right point in space and burst, releasing a cloud of sub-projectiles that raises the probability of a kill. In other words, fewer rounds wasted, faster engagements, and a better chance when multiple small targets arrive close together. Meanwhile, Poland is tackling the problem from another angle. Smaller guns tuned for small drones. Systems like the ZMT concept pair a multi-barrel 12.7mm gun with radar and optics, built to spot and engage tiny UAVs that are hard to track visually. And on land, Sea-Whiz has a close cousin, C-RAM. In simple terms, it's Phalanx technology adapted to protect bases, mounted on a truck. But the key difference is ammunition and safety. At sea, missed rounds disappear into the ocean. On land, missed rounds can travel, and that creates a real collateral damage problem. So C-RAM uses heat ammunition with a self-destruct feature. If it doesn't hit, it detonates in the air after the tracer burns out. That's why night engagements can look like a bright red ceiling over a base. Dramatic, but driven by safety engineering as much as firepower. But no matter how smart the ammunition gets, self-destructing, fragmenting, airbursting, they're still guns. And guns all share the same ceiling: magazine depth, resupply, and logistics. So the Navy has been testing another category entirely: directed energy. Not movie lasers, real tactical systems designed to put energy on a small target fast without spending a physical round. A laser engagement doesn't solve every problem, but it changes the cost curve. Instead of burning through expensive magazines, the shot cost is largely electrical power and system wear, often far lower than a guided missile or specialized gun ammunition. As long as the ship can generate power, it can keep firing. That's the promise: endurance. But it comes with trade-offs. Weather, smoke, haze, sea spray, anything that scatters or absorbs energy can cut effectiveness, which is why lasers, at least for now, don't replace guns. They complement them. And that's why the fleet still keeps a reliable mechanical last-ditch option on deck.
We have talked a lot about metal and algorithms, but let's take a moment for the humans behind, or rather, living right underneath, these machines. Veterans have exclaimed with pride, "The best education I ever had was learning to work on a CIWS. When you're cleared to touch it, you have to be an expert in physics and electronics." But living with Sea-Whiz is a love-hate relationship. A sailor recalls, "I used to sleep right under it. The noise during test fires could wake the dead." Another humorously calls it R2D2 with a hard-on, because of its distinctive shape. However, the machine is not always perfect. History has recorded heart-stopping moments when R2-D2 went rogue. In 1991, during the Gulf War, a Phalanx system on the USS Jarrett made a disastrous mistake. When the battleship USS Missouri launched chaff to distract enemy missiles, the Phalanx radar on the Jarrett locked onto that cloud of metal foil by mistake. The result? It unleashed a burst of 20mm rounds right into its ally, the Missouri. Fortunately, the legendary battleship's thick armor held up, and there were no serious casualties. But it was a chilling reminder. Total automation always comes with a price. So, what is the final verdict? Is the Phalanx system obsolete against modern drone swarms? Possibly. Is it insanely expensive compared to the cheap targets it destroys? Definitely yes. But ask any sailor who has heard that "BRRRT" rip through the night sky as a missile barreled straight toward them. They will tell you it is worth every single penny. A veteran who served in Iraq exclaimed with emotion, "Thank you, Phalanx, for saving my life multiple times in Iraq. Great area defense system." We must understand its true place. Phalanx was never designed to win a war. It was designed to stop you from losing in the final second. When the long-range SM-2 missiles miss, when the medium-range ESSM fails, when decoys don't fool the enemy, when electronic warfare is jammed, then, and only then, does Sea-Whiz speak up. It is the last line of defense, the thin line between life and death for 300 souls serving on that ship. The future may belong to lasers. The future may belong to invisible microwave beams. But until lasers can punch through rainstorms, until generators are small enough, this noisy, six-barreled monster will still stand there. It will still spin in the salty sea wind, ready to spit out a rain of metal to protect the sons, fathers, and mothers serving far from home. And you, what do you think? If you were the captain of a $2 billion destroyer, would you trust your life to new laser technology? Or do you still want to hear the raw, reassuring roar of the Gatling gun? Leave your opinion in the comments below. The debate between bullets and beams is far from settled. And if this video gave you a new perspective, not just on destructive power, but on the real-world challenges of the military, hit like and subscribe. That is the best way to join our fleet and not miss the next top-secret military file. Thank you for watching. I am navydoc. See you in the next video. Out.